is there any questions, queries regarding yesterday's topic, or can we directly move on to GST on Tally? So hope everyone had good breakfast today. Yeah, so let's move on to GST on Tally. Okay, if you have any questions, please go on typing on the chat. Okay, so that we will go through the chat in between and we will answer. Okay, because today's session, it is divided into two parts. One is basic understanding of GST with respect to what is coming forward. Okay, so GST has two parts to it. One is GST was launched in July 2017, so it's almost 33 months now. Okay, so for this June, it should become 3 years. While a lot of things have changed, the government has made a lot of changes to the GST and everything. Okay, so even for government, it was more of an experimental thing. Okay, so what we will be discussing today, the topic is of two parts. One is what changes the government has suggested to kick off from 1st of April. Okay, then we will see how to do all these things in Tally. So this presentation will have two phases to it. One, the understanding of GST with respect to the changes that the government is making. Second is how to do that on GST, how to do that on Tally. Is that clear? So directly let's go to the presentation. So today's topic, starting today and tomorrow, it will be completely on GST. Okay, so as all of you know, the objective is very clear. The purpose of this training is to increase efficiency and eliminate duplication of work. Okay, so we will always measure this against the trainings that we do and see whether did we try to achieve this, are we on the right path or not. So GST 2.0, what is GST 2.0? The changes that is suggested by government and which has gone through the recommendations of GST Council, which should get affected from 1st of April. So this is what GST 2.0 is all about. Please go forward. If anyone wants to record the meeting, you are free. You could record the meeting, but we are not doing any recording. Okay, anyone who wants to record meeting is free to record. Okay, so GST 2.0, what are all the recommended changes that the government wants to bring from 1st of April? Okay, so that is what we will be discussing. Then we will move on to Tally. So one disclaimer that I'm putting in this presentation. Okay, this presentation is based on the updates that are available on public domain as of 10th March 2020. Any changes or recommendations post 10th March 2020 are not incorporated in this discussion. Okay, so if there are any changes that the government has suggested post 10th of March that we have not considered in this presentation. Right? Because there are one or two changes after that the government has come out with. Okay, now they are contemplating should we launch this on 1st of April or on 1st of July because of the lockdown and everything. Okay, so just to give you a disclaimer, this presentation is based on the information updates that is available as of 10th of March. Okay, so what we will be discussing today is compared to what was there in GST earlier to what the government is recommending from April 2020. So how different it is, what more are there compared to that. We'll also be discussing what less. So what more things the government has added, what things the government has removed, and what's the different, how different it is compared to your existing GST framework. Okay, so these are the 3 points that we will be discussing before we get into tally. Is that fair? Okay, so now if you look at the existing returns, existing GST returns, okay, which you are filing monthly or quarterly based on your need, based on how you have business design is there. Okay, so everyone is updating GSTR1. GSTR1 is nothing but your outward details. Okay, invoice level liabilities are getting declared. Okay, that is what we are all doing. Either it might be on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. Then input tax credit, okay, it's available as per the GSTR 2A that's getting automatically populated from the system. Okay, so the information is available on input tax credit in the system based on the filings that is being done by our suppliers. Okay.
Hello.
So I request everyone to mute.
Meeting ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀನಿ, ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ 12 ಗಂಟೆ ಆಗಬಹುದು.
So
ನಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿದ
I'm
ತಕ್ಷಣ
sorry.
ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Okay, I'm just putting on everyone on mute. I didn't do that. Okay, so we are on mute now. Okay, so GSTR 2A is available as automated reports in our GST portal. So the government has made some changes in October 1919 saying the input tax claim can be whatever is declared or 10% of your liability. That is what the government has declared. Then there is something called cash ledger in the GSTR portal where you arrive at what is the liability of your GST and you pay the GST online, which gets auto-populated in your electronic cash ledger. Based on these 3 data, you are filing your GSTR 3B returns. Okay, either it might be on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. Okay, that is how you are doing. So as I told you, the input tax credit, the maximum credit allowed is at actual ITC or as per GSTR 2A 10%, whichever is lesser. Okay, or both. That is what the government is giving you as the input tax credit. So this is your existing design. So how the new returns looks like? Okay, so the invoice level liability that gets declared, okay, it is called as Annexure 1, ANX 1. That is what will be declared either on a monthly basis, okay, or on quarterly basis as per your business option. Okay, then the information of your input tax credit will be available in Annexure 2, ANX 2. Okay, so that will get auto-populated. Then the payment what you make to a cash ledger, okay, that is called PMT 8. Okay, taxpayer creates a challan on the portal and deposits the cash, means deposits through bank transfers, which gets auto-populated in electronic cash ledger. And return 1, 2 and 3 is what basically today what you are calling as GSTR 3B, the monthly returns. Okay, that is what will be either GSTR 1 or GSTR 2 or GSTR 3. All these things get accumulated and you will be filing your monthly or quarterly returns based on that format. Okay, so one thing that you need to remember is whether you opt for a monthly filing of returns or you opt for a quarterly filing of returns based on your business proposition, you need to pay tax on a monthly basis. Okay, tax payment is always on a monthly basis. That is one thing that everyone needs to remember, right? So let's move on. So what's more and what less compared to our previous regime of the GST? So what's more? So the first thing is flexibility in filing of returns. Example, Either it might be as Sahaj or Sugam or monthly returns. We'll come back to what is Sahaj, what is Sugam. Okay. So the second very important thing is revised returns filing will be allowed. In the current regime of GST, you cannot file any revised returns. So in the new regime, which the government has recommended, in that revised returns will be allowed. So even if you have done any mistake, you will be allowed to file the revised returns. Okay, flexibility to change return type as per the nature of business and turnover. So we'll come to that. What is the nature of business? What is the turnover? Why that nature of business turnover is required? All those things we'll discuss. Okay, then integration to ICE gate system. So one of the things that the government has recommended in the new GST or GST design is businesses who have more than 500 crores of turnover or 100 crores of turnover, whatever the limit that is being set, those businesses have to upload their sales invoice online as they do the invoice. Say example, today if I'm in a 500 crore rupee turnover organization, today I make one invoice for 10,000 rupees. Before I ship this material, that invoice has to be uploaded on GST portal so that the information is already available to their GST department. That is what the integration to ICE gate system that they are doing. Typically the ICE gate system will hold all your invoices. Okay. Then filing of nil returns via SMS. So for some reason we have not done any business for the month or for the quarter. Okay, so you don't have anything to file. So if it's a nil return, you should be also allowed to file your nil returns by using an SMS. So you need not even open your computer. Okay, so that is what the government is looking at. And one very important thing that the government is coming up with is locking and unlocking of transactions. So now what the government is proposing is, say, let me assume that you are all my customers. There is nothing assumptions, you are all my customers, no doubt about it. Okay, now tomorrow morning all of you will say, sir, I want one Tally software. Okay, and now I am more than 500 crore company, for example. I'm just telling you for an example. So I supply Tally software to all of you. Okay, and assume that I bill at 18,000 rupees and 3,240 of tax that I'm collecting. Okay, so when I raise an invoice, I'm just uploading all these invoices using this integration of iGate systems. And as I upload the invoice, this invoice details will be available on your GST portal in your login under Annexure 2. So you will automatically see that invoice in the system, in the GSTR portal. Now, what is going to happen once when you see that? So there will be options for you to accept. That is, you could say, yes, the invoice is correct, I have purchased this, and you could go and tick and accept it. Okay. The second thing is you could also reject. Example, okay, you could say that no, this is not my invoice. Okay, probably by mistake it has come to me. You could reject that. Okay, so on accepting the transaction on your Annexure 2, it gets automatically locked. After that, I cannot make any changes. Okay, so if you are rejecting, anyhow I need to make changes. That will not get accepted as your input tax credit. Okay, or the third option is you could also ask for an amendment. Example, you could say, no, we had discussed for 15,000 rupees. Why did you bill for 18,000 rupees? Okay, please amend this in tax invoice and give it to me, so that I could amend that and re-upload that tax invoice. So it just becomes like an online system going forward. Okay, it might take time. I'm not saying tomorrow morning it's going to happen. It might take 6 months, 1 year, whatever the time it takes. But eventually, what government is looking at is it should become an online system where a seller updates his invoice. It's automatically available for the buyer on his annexure 2, and he could exercise his right to either accept the invoice or ask for the amendment or reject the invoice. Is that clear? That is what government is looking at in GSTR 2.0. And one more thing is major change. HSN details has to be included at invoice itself, because in the current regime, HSN details is going as a summary to your GSTR1, GSTR3B. But in the new regime, HSN code has to be part of your invoice. These are all the things that is more that is coming in GSTR 2.0. What's less which is coming? What is being removed? HSN summary not required while filing returns, because HSN summary will be part of your invoice itself. Filing operations are made easier, will be made easier. UQC quantity not required. What does UQC mean? Unit code quantity not required. Document summary not required. Currently there is something called document summary, that is also not required. And most of the information gets auto-populated instead of self-assessed. Currently we are self-assessing, saying that what is my input tax credit. Okay, all those things will be removed. Everything will be based on auto-populated informations. Is this clear? Any questions on this before we move forward? See, I had told the people, if you want to record, you are free to go ahead and record. You don't need any permission from me. So Krishna Prasad and Gangadhar, if you want to record, please go ahead. Whoever wants to record this session, you are free to record this session. Dilip, what is HSN? HSN is, it is homogenized synchronized number, okay, which is an international standard codification for the stock items that you are using. So every stock item, based on the nature of the stock item, the government has coded this items, okay, and it is internationally accepted codes. So that has to be part of your invoice. Okay, so permission from the meeting host is required. Just hold on. Let me just see what is the configurations that we need to do. Just be on the line. I'm just checking, is there any options here? There is an option record on this computer. There's only one record on this computer. Record on cloud, hide floating meeting controls, share computer sound, optimize. he can share it to everyone. So there is no need multiple people recording it. Okay. Yeah. So let's move on. So there was one chat with respect to this topic. Okay. So could we move on? So Rajesh is saying he will share. Okay, so don't worry about record. So there one person is recording, we will ensure that it gets shared. Thank you, Rajesh. Okay, so let's move on. Any questions on this before we move? Any questions on GST topic before we move? Let's come out of that recording. Okay. So let's move forward. What's more, what's less, it's clear to you. Okay, so now let's see what's the difference between the current GST regime and what government has proposed going forward. Okay, so the first thing, classification of taxpayers. It was based on turnover, just based on turnover all these days. Going forward, it will be based on turnover and the business profile. So we'll come to what is that business profile. HSN details. In the earlier form, we should have filed the summary at the summary level. Going forward, it should be at the invoice level. Reconciliations between GSTR1, GSTR2A with GSTR3B was manual. So as an user, we wanted to do lot of manual reconciliation. Okay. In GSTR 2.0, it will be reduced to the great extent because the values of Annexure 1 and Annexure 2 will be auto-populated in returns. I think now itself, if you are filing GSTR returns by yourself, it has already started auto-populating. Amendment of returns was not possible in the earlier regime, which will be possible in the new GSTR 2.0. So it gives a great relief for filers where if they have made some silly mistakes, if they have made some unintentional mistakes, to opt for amendment of the returns. Profile based returns. So in the earlier regime, up to 1.5 crores, it was quarterly returns, and more than 1.5 crores, it was on more than 5 crores, it was a monthly return. Going forward, government is bifurcating into two kinds of businesses. One, they call it as large taxpayer. Second, they are calling it as small taxpayer. Large taxpayers are those who have more than 5 crores of turnover in the financial year. Small taxpayers are those who have less than 5 crores of turnover. So this is one classification. So first thing that you need to know is whether the business is more than 5 crores of turnover or less than 5 crores of turnover. Okay, that's the first way of looking at. Okay, then other thing is locking of invoices. There was no provision in GST or 1.0 that they are proposing and making it available in 2.0. So the locking of invoices will give a great relief to the businesses, those who are doing purchases, because today a lot of cases we are seeing material from our suppliers. Suppliers are not uploading their invoices. So we are denied of credit. Okay. So now what happens is, as and when they upload, we as the buyers can go and lock that invoice. Further, the supplier will not be able to change anything. Availing provisional input tax credit. It was available for all taxpayers in GSTR 1.0. Going forward, it will be available only for selected type of taxpayers. Let's see who are the selected type of taxpayers. Missing invoices. In the current regime, it's not available. Going forward, you could also track the missing invoice. Say example, I'm selling one Tally software to all of you, to your business. So there is a tax of 3,240 rupees on the invoice, but I don't go and upload. So what's going to happen? You don't get the credit. Now what you could do is, you could update this as your purchase invoice, and that will come to me as an invoice to be accepted. I could accept that. So those things will also be available in GSTR 2.0. Is this clear? Any questions on this before we move to the next? So I'll give 30 seconds. If anyone has any questions, please put it on chat. We can log the invoice. Every client, no, every supplier has to be informed that he has to upload his purchase invoice. Pallavi, every supplier you need to inform to load his, to update his purchase invoice. Is this already affected from 1st of April? Srinivas, few of the things are affected, few of the things still government wanted to do that. They wanted to actually go forward from 1st of April. They wanted to bring the gazette on 1st of April because of COVID lockdown. Okay, all those decisions officially it is pending. Okay, so they might do it once when the lockdown opens. Okay, officially, since it is a lockdown period, they have not got any new confirmations or gazetted approvals. Can you explain about missing invoice? Missing invoices are very simple. Shanaf, okay. So Shanif, I hope you are from Mahabazar, right? Yeah, okay. So example, I'll give you an example. See, I am supplying Hindustan Unilever products to you. Okay, I'm a wholesaler. So you are buying from me. Okay, so example, I have Pond's cold cream. So I've supplied 100 numbers of Pond's cold cream to you, and I have given you a physical bill. Okay, which is, say example, 10,000 rupees, and I'm charging 12% tax, which is at 1,200 rupee tax. Now you on your books, you are claiming it as an input tax credit. But at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, I have not uploaded this invoice. So what is going to happen to your input tax credit? You don't get the input tax credit. Okay, that's the normal law. Now what you could do is, you as a buyer can go and update in the system saying that you have purchased from me worth 10,000 rupees and there is an input tax credit of 1,200. That will automatically flash when I log in, and I could say, yes, by mistake I have not uploaded this, and accept it. That was not available in our previous regime. That's available in 2.0. That will be available in 2.0. Is that clear? Locking of invoice, if the company uploads the file, then why should we look for locking the invoices? Ramesh, simple reason. Okay, if you, so there are three ways to look at it. Okay, one example, you are purchasing a material, I'm selling a software to you. Okay, I have uploaded the invoice, it's available on your portal, so you are eligible for 3,240 rupees of input tax credit. Now if you lock, when you see and if you say okay everything is fine and lock, then I cannot make any amendments further. Okay, if you don't lock, I can still go and make changes to that. So I could, rather than 3,240 as tax, I could make it as 2,240 as tax. Then you will get 1,000 rupee less tax. Okay, so it's left to the customers whether they want to lock or not, but that feature will be available so that you could ensure that your input tax credit is intact. Okay, and there is one more option. After the returns period, all those invoices which are not locked will be deemed as locked. So even if you're not locking and if you are very confident with your supplier, you need not worry, it will just be treated as locked. So what is locking of invoice? Locking of invoice is you could go to your GST portal and look at from whom all you have bought the products, which will be available in Annexure 2A. So you will get those as input tax credit. So to make safe of your input tax credit, you could go and lock that so that further your suppliers will not be able to make any changes. Hope you're clear. Okay, so could we move forward? Okay, so as we move to GST 2.0, every business you should ask yourself two questions if you want to move to GST or 2.0. What are those two questions? One is, what is my turnover? Because the turnover will define what kind of taxpayer I am, whether I am a large taxpayer or a small taxpayer. So there are only two categories. Large taxpayers are those who have more than 5 crores of turnover, and small taxpayers are those who have less than 5 crores of turnover. So the first question is, what is my turnover? The second question is, what type of business I'm into? What is the kind of business that I do? It's not about the segment of business. It is not about whether I'm a paint dealer or whether I'm a food business, whether I'm into sports business. That is not given. Okay. The type of business means to whom am I selling? So there are typically 3 different or 4 different kinds of buyers to whom I sell. So one is purely B2C, business to consumers, all retailers. Okay, say example, I think 99% of the sales that is done by Mahabazar is B2C, business to consumer. I think Fine Tunes Fitness is into B2C because their customers are consumers. They are not business entities. Okay, so one is B2C. The second type is B2B, business to business. You are selling to an organization who is into business. Say example, all my customers are into B2B. Apart from few of the very less are into B2C. Most of my customers are into B2B because I sell only to businesses. Okay. The third is the combination of B2B and B2C. I also have B2C customers and I also have B2B customers. Okay. And along with import exports, outside the country, sales purchase, all those things. So you have different types of businesses. So when we call type of businesses, first thing that you need to ask is, who are your customers? To whom do you sell? Whether do you sell to a consumer or are you selling to businesses? So very simple. Who are consumers? Who don't have GST numbers. They are consumers. Who have GST numbers are business to business. Okay, so these two questions determine what kind of form that you have to file, what should be the periodicity of your filings. Okay, so when we look at these two questions, the above will decide the frequency and type of return filing. Right? Any questions before we move? Vishwanath, if buyer is not paid the bill amount, see, you paying to your supplier is nothing to do with you claiming input tax credit. Those two things are different. Pallavi, if they are exempted sales, still it depends on to whom are you selling. Whether are you selling to B2B or B2C. Yes, Ramesh, you will choose whether you fall under monthly or quarterly based on these two questions. What is your turnover and what type of business you are into? Okay, so you, Vishwanath, you are into B2B. Okay, so Pallavi, I didn't understand BTOC. What does that mean? B2C. That is business to consumer. Say example, okay, we go and have coffee, tea, we have breakfast, everything. Okay, next to our office there is one small canteen. Okay, they are also GST registered. Though they are small, they are GST registered. But they sell only to consumers. They come under B2C. Milk business B2C. Until unless they are not supplying to the hotels. Okay, so fine. So let's move on. So these are all the things which will determine. So what is the turnover of my business in previous financial year? Previous financial year is nothing but 2019-20. So what is my business turnover in 1920 will determine whether I am a large taxpayer or a small taxpayer. So up to 5 crores or above 5 crores. Okay, so this is one parameter. So if I'm less than 5 crores, I can opt to file either quarterly or on a monthly basis. So less than 5 crore turnover organizations can file on a quarterly basis or they can opt to file on a monthly basis. It is their right to say whether they want to file on a quarterly or on a monthly basis. Okay. So how many of you have turnover in 1920 less than 5 crores? Can you just type on your chat saying yes, less than 5 crores? Okay, so all those people who have less than 5 crores, you can file your returns on a quarterly basis, but you have to pay your tax on a monthly basis. Return filing can be done on a quarterly basis. Okay, those who have turnover more than 5 crores, they have to mandatorily file the returns on a monthly basis. They don't have a choice. They have to file on a monthly basis. Is this clear? This is one parameter. Let's move on. So let us look at up to 5 crores. What are all the things? So now we are taking businesses who are less than 5 crores. Okay. So you are filing quarterly returns, or you could opt to file monthly returns. But you have to make monthly payment via payment declaration. So you have to declare the payment and make the monthly payment. Right? So your business in what you deal with. So if your business is into only consumers, okay, you are not doing any invoice to businesses, you are just selling only to consumers, okay, then you have to file a return which is called Sahaj. So there are different return types. Okay, so if you are only to consumers, then you can file Sahaj returns. If you are into both businesses as well as consumers, so you are selling to both B2B as well as B2C, then you have to file returns that is called Sugam. So if your business in 2019-20 is less than 5 crores of rupees and you are dealing only with consumers, it is Sahaj. Okay, if you are into B2B as well as B2C and if your turnover is less than 5 crores, you will be filing return called Sugam. Okay, if you are into both B2B and B2C, plus you are doing imports, exports, you are supplying to SEZ, or you are into e-commerce, all those things, then having less than 5 crores of turnover, then you will be filing normal RET1 returns on a quarterly basis. Okay, while we are saying it's a quarterly basis, tax payment needs to be done on a monthly basis. And if for any reason, if you want to opt to file your returns on a monthly basis, you could opt to do that. So that is your choice, either on a quarterly or on a monthly basis. Is this clear? Those who have less than 5 crores of turnover, okay, this is what the flow is. Hope this is clear. Ramesh, payment declaration, monthly and quarterly filing, what difference it makes? Anyway, monthly they have to declare. Yes, they did. See, government is very clear. You have to pay them on a monthly basis. You can defer your return filing and you could file on a quarterly basis. Okay. Because generally what happens is, how many of you file your GST returns by yourself without going to your auditors, tax consultant or chartered accountants? How many of you do it yourself? Can you just type on chat saying, yes, we do in-house? One, two, three. See, please understand, out of 62 participants who are there, 3 customers are doing it self. All others are depending on external people. Okay, let me take 10 businesses are doing, 4 are there. Let me take 10 businesses are doing self return filing. But other 50 businesses are depending on chartered accountants, are depending on auditors, are depending on tax consultants to file their returns. Okay, now this will ease out. They could depend on their chartered accountants, auditors, or tax consultants on a quarterly basis, not on a monthly basis. While because they know how much payment they can make, they can just go online and make the payment. For making the payment, you don't need assistance of anyone. But to file returns, you require an assistance, right? So that's the major difference that is there. That's the difference why you should make monthly payments and you could opt to file your quarterly returns. That's the difference. Miloni, please explain the third one again. Okay. See, the normal returns on a quarterly basis, if your businesses, if your customers, you are billing to consumers also, you are billing to businesses also, you are also doing exports, you are sending your materials out of India, or you are supplying your materials to SEZ, that is special economic zone set up inside India, or you are into an e-commerce and selling your products on e-commerce portal. If you are into e-commerce business, then you have to file normal returns on a quarterly basis if your turnover is less than 5 crores. Let me take an example. Okay, so I have one customer. They are our customers by name Akshaya Kalpa. How many of Akshaya? Okay, so they are basically into milk and milk products. They have a plant in Tiptur. Okay, they every day they produce around 3 lakh liters of milk, sorry, 30,000 liters of milk. Okay, and they are into A2 milk, that is Desi milk. Okay, so they have consumers, they sell to consumers, they sell to businesses, they also sell online on their portal. Okay, yes, Nagraj, advertisements also are coming on radios. So now if they are less than 5 crores of turnover, of course they are not less than 5 crores of turnover. If this business is less than 5 crores of turnover, then they have to file normal quarterly returns, return 1. That's the difference. Hope Miloni, you got the clarity? Yeah. Now let us move on. Okay, so taxpayers opted for Sahaj and Sugam cannot make supplies through e-commerce. So there is one catch. Okay, so if you are into only consumer products, or if you are into both B2B and B2C, and if you want to sell on Amazon, if you want to sell on Flipkart, then you don't qualify to be on Sahaj or Sugam. You have to go through only normal returns. Then if you are into Sahaj and Sugam, provisional credit cannot be taken on missing invoices under Sahaj and Sugam. So there was one class saying that provisional input tax credit will be available only to certain types of tax payers, right? So provisional input tax credit cannot be claimed by if you are into consumer and filing Sahaj, and if you are into businesses and filing Sugam. So if you want input tax credit, provisional input tax credit, you have to file under normal returns. Hope this is clear. Then taxpayer opting for Sahaj and Sugam need not declare exempted supplies. There was a question, someone asked me, what about exempted supplies? So if you are into Sahaj and Sugam, see, this has been done for reliably small traders. Say example, I have got one Nandini outlet, Nandini milk parlor outlet. Okay, and my turnover is less than 5 crores. Okay, and milk is exempted sales. Assume that I'm just dealing only with milk and it is exempted product. Okay, since it's an exempted product, okay, and I'm selling only to consumers, I'm not selling any to businesses. Even if I'm selling to businesses, since it's an exempted product, I'm not collecting any tax. Since I'm not collecting any tax, okay, this product is exempted from filing. Is that clear? Okay, so let's move on. If it is above 5 crore turnover, so if your business is above 5 crore turnover, you are making a monthly payment and you are filing on a monthly basis. You don't have a choice. Okay, and none of these things, B2B, B2C, makes any difference to you, irrespective whether you are only into B2B, you are into B2B plus B2C, or you are into imports, exports, SEZ, e-commerce. It doesn't make any difference. If you have more than 5 crores of turnover, you have to simply file RET1 on a normal returns on a monthly basis. Okay, so for all those who have more than 5 crores of turnover, don't worry about B2B, B2C, none of these things. You have to file your returns on a monthly basis. Is this clear? Businesses with turnover of more than 5 crores can also choose to file, sorry, up to 5 crores can also choose to file returns on a monthly basis. So it's a choice for businesses less than 5 crores. Okay, so are there any questions in this, or can we move on to tally? So this is what the changes that the government is suggesting. So Nagraj, with limit less than 5 crores, all businesses must register under GST? No. So there is a minimum turnover criteria. So what's the minimum turnover criteria to register under GST? Does anyone know what's the minimum turnover criteria? 1.5 CR, 10 lakhs. No, it's not 1.5 CR. 20 lakhs. Yes, Shashikant, you are right, 20 lakhs. If a business turnover is less than 20 lakhs of rupees, you need not register under GST. So all small traders, hawkers, small traders, everyone who has less than 20 lakhs turnover. 20 lakhs turnover is what? If you just divide it by 365, 300 days on a yearly basis, if you are doing 300 days of business, it comes to somewhere between 6 to 7,000 rupees. If your turnover is less than 6 to 7,000 rupees on an average per day, you need not even register under GST. You could just do business without GST registrations. Those who cross 20 lakhs of turnover have to mandatorily register and will come under either Sugam, Sahaj, normal returns till their turnover crosses 5 crores. Right? So can we move on to tally? 20 lakhs turnover. Yes. So are there any questions? Could we move on to tally? Okay. So as I told you yesterday, we will be working on one new company because a lot of data, some examples, everything were there. So you will get confused in that data. So we are just created one new company without any transaction, without any masters in this data. So I've just created one sample company, and let us start looking at how do we start this. Okay, so once when you create company, the major things that you need to be aware of, once when you create a company, please fill all the details so that when you start printing your invoices, all the informations are auto populated. Okay, please ensure that you are writing the right name which is as per your GST certificate. Address, please mark your business address. Select country India and select state as Karnataka, very important. So whichever state the business is into, ensure that the state is selected properly and all other details, please ensure that these details are updated. Okay, so once when you do this, the next option is, again you need to first enable GST on F11 features. Okay, go click on F11 features, go to statutory and taxation, and the first option that you get is enable GST, goods and service tax. Say yes. Set alter GST details, make it as yes. Again here it is auto populating the state. Select the state, then you could say whether you are a regular GST filer or you are a composition GST filer. Okay, so what's the difference between regular and composition GST? In composition method, okay, the government doesn't require us to file invoice wise returns. We need to just declare and pay the tax. So the composition will not get input tax credit. He is not eligible for input tax credit. Yes, composition is based on turnover. Okay, so the major setback on composition is you cannot claim input tax credit. So if a business, as a business, if you say no, I don't need input tax credit, you could choose to be in composition. Yes, they have removed in 2.0, they have removed it. In 1.0, it is still there. Okay, fine. So I'm just saying we are the regular GST vendors. Assessee of other territory, make this as no. Okay, if you are getting assessed in different territories, then you need to make it as yes. Okay, GST is applicable from what date? Since I'm using these books from 1st April 2020, I've just enabled it as 1st April 2020. What is your GST number? Please input your GST number here. Your organization GST number is what you need to input. Okay, then what is your filing periodicity of filing, whether it is monthly or quarterly? So you could choose whether you are on a monthly or on a quarterly returns. Then is e-way bill applicable? So when you are transporting the goods, you need to generate an e-way bill. Okay, you have to go to the portal and generate an e-way bill. Is that applicable is what it is asking over here. Okay, just say yes. If the e-way bill is applicable, make this as applicable from what date? Okay, against what? Invoice value or tax and exempted goods both put together, or only taxable goods value? So default, I'm just taking as invoice value. What is the threshold limit to raise an e-way bill? So 50,000 is the threshold limit. For interstate, you could also give the threshold limit. And all these things, do not worry about things. Okay, first just look at the basics of how to do the GST things. Then we will come back to advanced tax liability, reversible charges. Okay, all those things. Currently, don't worry about this. But if you are into LUT and bonds, where you are supplying the products to SEZ, that special economic zones, or you are exporting, then you require an LUT bond details, then you could enable this. Otherwise, not required. Save. Once when you do that, come to your PAN number, update your PAN number. If you have corporate identity number SIN, update that SIN number and save. Okay, so this is the first level configurations that you are supposed to do. Is that clear? Okay. What is LUT? See, if you are exporting the products or if you are supplying the products to special economic zones set up by Government of India, then you get certain exemptions. To claim that exemptions, you need to first register and take the LUT bond details with GST. That is the number that you need to update. Okay. So are there any questions from this session? I think I'm giving a break here. Further, we will take it in 4 o'clock session. Okay. If there are any questions, I could take it. Okay. Because if I start now, again, it will extend. Okay. We'll not be able to complete that. So logically, I'm breaking at this company creation and F11 settings. Okay, further we will take it in the 4 o'clock sessions. We'll look at what are all the key configurations that we are supposed to do. Okay, I was planning that we will be able to complete this, but I don't think we'll be able to complete this. This will take it in the next sessions. Are there any questions? GSTR1 chart, Dinesh, you need to wait. We are not gone to GSTR1 chart yet. Once when we make the transaction, you will be able to see the GSTR1 chart. So if there are any questions, please type on your chat, or if you want to speak, I can open up your voice. I can unmute you. Please let me know. Okay, so our contact details are here. Okay. We will be creating new type of filing. No, not really. It will be similar to that. Only your output formats will change. That's all. Okay. Quarterly filing is only helpful for our tax consultant and auditors. No, any businesses who are less than 5 crores and who fall under those things can opt to file on a quarterly returns. It's good for all small businesses. If you ask me, for all small businesses, it's a good thing to do. Okay. So any other questions you have? So who will help us to record your feedback? So are there any participants who want to record your feedback and share it in the group? You are most welcome. So who will take it up and today and record your feedback? Pallavi, can you record the feedback on your mobile and share it on the group? Ishwar, can you do this? Can you record? Sinto Matthew, can you record?